Welcome to Stand Up Memories. We have another great show with a terrific comedian.
Turning over a new leaf.
And what's your new leaf?
I am not going to interrupt your introductions.
Thank you very much. We have a guest who I love, and I remember.
I'm not sure when I'm going to turn over my new leaf.
It's not starting today.
Not starting today.
But our guest is named Rhonda.
I wouldn't want Rhonda to feel like, I was changing our course of action.
No.
Well, I want her to feel like just another one of our great guests.
She is another one of our great guests. This is Rhonda Hansome, and we go way back to back in the day, whatever the back in the day means.
Rhonda, I have not seen you in so long, and it's an absolute delight to see you. And I love that you're working with my good friend John Fugelsang, who's just a wonderful character. Wonderful.
Every Monday night, it's Handsome Monday on Sirius XM with John Fugelsang. He's a great guy.
That is so terrific. And you are so busy all the time. Not only are you a comedian, you're a director, you travel all over the place. But this lady, and I'd like to start with this. She describes herself as the Nina Simone of comedy. And that is wonderful. I know who Nina Simone is. I refreshed my memory. A wonderful musician, composer, activist person. And I want you to say why you take inspiration from such a wonderful character as Nina Simone.
Well, because she was so talented. I just love talented women, and because she spoke her mind about politics. She was very expressive about that in her work, in her music, and she was very strong about it. And I just feel so inspired by her activism and her talent.
And she did it long before people were doing that.
Well, yeah, she paid for that too. She paid for that. I was also quite impressed when I found out that one of her meetings with the record companies, when she thought they were not dealing with her fairly, as you know, happens pretty frequently with music artists and the record companies, she pulled out a gun. She pulled out a gun, and I said, "You go, girl."
I don't know how often people have pulled out guns meeting with record executives, but I would tell you that the percentage of people that have wanted to pull out a gun
is pretty high. Pretty high. Yeah.
But Rhonda, you have never pulled out a gun yourself on a comedy booker, I assume.
No, I have wanted to.
On my act.
She pulled the gun. She pulled the gun on Jackie.
Well, Jackie gave me my first paying gig on Long Island. Jackie gave me my first paying gig at Governor's on Long Island, and he still owes me money. Yes.
Do you remember that first paying gig? How did it go?
Oh, it was great, because from there on, I worked on the island a lot, so much that people thought I was actually a Long Island comic. It went very well. I went on to do the contests and festivals and work at all the island clubs. It went very well.
Very early on, I mean, for a long time, but especially in the beginning, those Governor's audiences were so red hot because everybody was so hungry for comedy, and it was still so new that
they
came out and they were ready to go, ready to laugh, ready to drink, ready to whoop it up. And it was just a joy running those shows,
And they were great fun. They were incredible fun. The lineups were incredible.
And you remember some people in those lineups, like Jerry Seinfeld and Carol Leifer and Paul Reiser, right?
Oh, yeah. And Rob Bartlett, the Round Mound of Sound.
The Round Mound of Sound.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So many great people. Yeah.
Well, yes, because Rhonda started in 1980 when it was new and white hot, and audience were just starting to understand there was this new thing called comedy, and it wasn't Catskills style, it was George Carlin, Robert Klein style.
Yes.
Who was your biggest
Yeah.
influence?
I'm sorry?
Who was your biggest influence starting out?
Mom's Mabley.
Ah,
I knew it. That's terrific.
Mom's Mabley, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Joan Rivers. I actually was the movie reviewer on Joan Rivers' show when she was in New York City. I did that for her a couple of times. Even like Tony Fields. But you know, you say what we were doing wasn't like the Catskills, but you know, I worked the Catskills for a very long time. I did all of those places, Grossinger's, Villa Roma, the Raleigh, the Concord, all of those places for many, many years. So when I was not where I started out on Long Island, and then the showcase clubs in Manhattan like Catch a Rising Star and the Improv, I was in the Catskills.
I remember you from the comic strip.
Yeah. When Lucian would actually put me on at the comic strip, yes, I was there. I was there.
but those Catskills gigs were like such a rite of passage. But I still remember the first couple times working those midnight shows, because those people would pay one price to come for the weekend, and they got to go to every show. So if you had like the late show on Saturday night, they'd already seen 3 or 4 or 5 shows. So they were under no pressure at all to sit through a show. It wasn't like they paid their money. They already paid their money. And if they didn't feel, I mean, I know the first time I was up there at the midnight show, I saw nothing but asses and elbows after 5 minutes. I would say 3/4 of the place just left. But they said they always did, because they were tired. It was the end of a long day. It was midnight. And they were like, enough of this. And you just, it really put
I would do the main room. Yeah, I would do the main room and then go do a late show at another casino. But I always had a good time. I really had a good time with those audiences. Yeah.
Yeah, but we all have tough shows. Do you remember some of those?
Oh my gosh, my toughest show was when I toured with Anita Baker for 2.5 years, opening her show. And this one day we, got in our transportation going to, I think it's Greensboro, North Carolina. And me and the Perry sisters, the backup singers, and the band were all in North Carolina. And her chauffeur had driven her to Greensboro, South Carolina. And they put me on in an unair-conditioned gym in front of people who had been standing for about 45 minutes. They put me on when they knew she was getting close. And when I came out there, all they did was say, "You're not Anita. You're not Anita. You're not Anita." That was pretty scary. That was pretty scary.
We've all had those. I played in a 2-man group. We just played guitars, me and my partner. And we had a job out in the Hamptons at one of the really big clubs. I think it was called the Mad Hatter, for the 5 o'clock 25-cent beers for like an hour and a half. So we just played music and everybody drank beers for 25 cents each. And the main act was one of the huge Long Island bands. It was like the Stanton Anderson Band and the ST4. And there was this band called Baby. And they were so popular, and they broke down on the Jersey Turnpike, and they said, "Jackie, you and Chris have to play the night." And I'm telling you, we started at 8 o'clock to a full house, and in 5 minutes after 8, the place was and they're expecting this huge rock and roll band. All of a sudden, plinka, plinka, plinka. Oh my God. And it keeps you humble, you know, keeps you humble.
It really does. There's nothing like show business to keep you humble, Jackie. I'll tell you that. I agree. I agree.
Now we would have met.
Oh, can
your
I say
husband
that?
long ago,
I'm
can
sure
say that.
at least once or
like
twice.
in
At least
1980.
once or twice. Well, I started in the 80s. Yeah, yeah. But you know, a lot of
And
that
you were
driving
married at the time?
I yeah, yeah. I was doing, you know, driving. I actually learned to drive so I could get out to Long Island. I would, and this was before a GPS. I'd have all these index cards with the clubs and directions to clubs and driving and reading at the same time. It was wild, absolutely wild.
Oh, we all did that. It was death defying.
Well, wait a second, because I've done something we've never done before here on Stand Up Memories. I've got a cue card. And it's the title of your one-woman show, Lie, Baby, Lie. True Tales of Sex, Murder, and Gentrification.
Yes.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm working on writing that up for a small book. I actually think I'm going to do that because it was so much fun and people liked it so much. I'm working on that right now, making that into a short book.
A short book. Okay, Tales of Sex? What did you talk about sex?
Oh yes, those teenage sex, those clutches in the hallway. Oh yeah, all of that. That gets done. Uh-huh.
I had
Wait, what the hell with the sex? What about the murder? Not murder.
no, wait. I had the clutches in the hallway in high school, but I was alone. Now you have tales about murder?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you'll have to buy my book to find out about that with my mother. It involved my mother.
Okay, but you
and
never murdered anybody yourself.
Her new husband. Oh, I didn't. I wanted to murder him, but
Well, you know, we all know there is a huge gap between murder and wanting to murder.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to murder Bales 3 times since I got here today. So you can't count that, you know.
And gentrification, which
Yes.
our audience knows what that is. And I guess your view is that it's mostly bad.
Well, I was born and raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant. I grew up there. And when I was growing up, it was a place that I felt like I wanted to get away from. And I have come to understand that certain sections of our cities are slated for devaluing. So like it'll go through 20 years or so of being devalued so that there can be a turnover. And that turnover came, you know, after I had left Brooklyn, and the turnover got to the point where it's one of the most expensive and sought after areas in the country. Actually, Brooklyn is very expensive, and I could not even afford to live in the borough where I was born and raised. Yeah,
Brooklyn has gone through such major changes, like not even believable, you know.
absolutely.
I guess the bad part is what happens to the old neighborhood and the people who live there?
Well, it's rough, but the one good thing about gentrification was that I could finally get a decent $10 cup of coffee. It really that really helped a lot. That
Rhonda, I grew up in a very similar area to Bed-Stuy. It was called Locust Valley on the North Shore of Long Island. And
it defines 180 degrees.
It does. It really does. It defines, you know, I lived around people who talk like Thurston Howell on Gilligan's Island. And I see Freddie from our crew not knowing who Thurston Howell is because he said, yeah, no idea, right? Young people don't even know what Gilligan's Island is now.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to be around people and you make these references and they have no idea what you're talking about. That happens with me when people ask me my name and I go, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. And they look at me like,
And they go blank.
yeah, or they look at me like I need oxygen or
You
something.
don't remember that old song by the Kinks?
You know, the other day, I don't know if I was with you, I refused to Google. We spent a half an hour trying to think of Tuesday Weld's name on Dobie Gillis.
Oh, we get into these moments when we're racking
And
our
Dobie
brain.
Gillis, I mean, that was, that was Maynard. That was a 10 years and a whole sitcom before he was Gilligan, he was Maynard. And who was Tuesday Weld's?
Well, I don't remember right now.
Oh, it's a tough one because we found it and I referred to it 5 different times and I still can't tell you.
Dobie Gillis was a beatnik, and people don't.
Maynard was
Maynard.
a
Oh, wait,
beatnik.
no, Maynard Krebs, right? Was the beatnik. People.
Counterculture. Maynard G. Krebs was counterculture before it was happening. Yeah.
Before there was such thing,
That's exactly right. And by the way, I feel guilty because we have young people watching. Help Me, Rhonda is a Beach Boys song. However, the Kinks were great as well.
Help Me Rhonda, I think probably was one of their number one.
It probably was one of their number one hits, and it's a great way to remember your name.
If the song means anything or strikes a bell, otherwise it's like, what is she talking about?
That is so crazy when you give a reference like, boom, boom, and people are like, you see them go blank. I did a show and I'm embarrassed. It was a long time ago, like 10 years or 20, but there were things in my act and I had some older people sitting there and they were laughing. They were kind of counting them off because I mentioned Liberace and the room went dead. And I mentioned Alan Funt and the room went dead. Like, because you don't want to let go of those. You don't want to let go of those. And then you realize you just too many people are scratching their heads. You go from 20% of the people not knowing to 50%. And when it gets to be about 80% of the people don't know, like, it's downright rude.
Please tell me that everybody still remembers somebody. I think you opened for James Brown.
Oh yeah.
Really?
I opened for James Brown in Connecticut, and it was I was very excited about it, but I was told strictly not to go past his dressing room. Do not pass go. Do not stop and say hello. Just keep on moving. Don't look back. But yes, that was a quite exciting show for me. I opened for James Brown. Yeah.
But he was like the Michael Jackson thing, no eye contact.
Well, see, that's the thing. When you have people, Jackie, it could have been just his representative saying that, or it could have been James. I'm not going to say that came from.
Right? It could be people doing what they think he wants them to do.
Yes. Yeah.
So then we're not going to ask you if you had sex with James Brown because you didn't.
Oh yeah, we had sex. I just didn't look at him.
Good for you. So you're a busy woman. You do cruise ships, you do clubs, you do casinos, you do private shows. Which do you like better now?
Well, I like any gig that pays. I'll just tell you that. Any gig that pays. That's what I'm looking for, because I don't have people anymore. I don't have management anymore. So whenever people approach me, I'm just happy to know that, I get paid up front, deposit first, paid up front before I go, and I've got the jokes to deliver. I've got them.
That's the way I work. And people say, "Are you retired? Are you still working?" And I tell them, I'm retired until the phone rings.
That's it.
That's like,
it's true.
Before I even answer the phone, I say, I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, George Burns, what was he, 99? And he still had bookings going in for another 2 years that were scheduled when he passed. Yeah.
Do you ever think about stopping, or are you going to be a stand-up forever?
Actually, I did pause. I did, after my divorce, I put a pause in things because I was trying to get my life together. And I got to tell you, I missed it so much. I absolutely, I missed the creativity, but I missed the camaraderie. I missed, seeing the same people in the clubs and running around from one show to the other. And it's a hard thing. It's a very hard thing. But sometimes the stress and the uncertainty and your expectations force you to reassess where you are.
Well said. This woman was super funny in 1980 when I met her, and she's super funny now, and you look terrific.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to work with you again.
I'm looking forward to it. I was out at the Giggle Room out there, and I was trying to catch up with you, but I don't know if the timing was off or what. But I would love for us to work out there and make people laugh again together, because I love stand-up. I really get such a kick out of it, and you get to share things about yourself. And when you hear people laughing, you know that you are doing such a great thing for them physiologically, that, they are massaging their inside. Sometimes you're even massaging their minds, and they're having a good time.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
resounds with people. And I hope to run into you on John Fugelsang's show at some point. I used to do it all the time. I haven't done it in a long time, but it was always fun. He's always been a really good guy.
Very, very nice guy. Very nice guy.
Rhonda, thank you so much for being on Stand Up Memories. And
oh my gosh, I just seeing the two of you is such a tonic. You both look fantastic, and to be able to remember those great days of being in the newness of comedy at that time is just tremendous.
I always tell people I can remember almost everything from the first year or two, and then the next 30 years are like blank.
A blur. It's a blur.
So new, It was.
Rhonda, promise you'll come back with us soon.
Anytime you want me, guys, just give me a call and say, "Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda."
All right. I love the Kinks.
Was that a song?
No, it's not the Kinks. I did.
Thanks, Rhonda. We'll
Thanks.
see you again.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a pretty good episode.
A new episode every Wednesday with me, Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, comedians, interesting people. Leave a comment. We'll get what am I saying?
I don't know.
We're gonna get back to you. We will respond to your comment.
StandUpMemories.com. If you go there, it shows all the different
All
platforms.
Spotify, we're on everything.
Every Wednesday.
Stand Up Memories,
Every Wednesday.
a new episode.